Welcome back. We're in a makeshift studio tonight, but I am so happy that you're back here with me for a bonus training. You may have noticed a slightly different backdrop. Tonight we are shooting from the JW Marco Island. I am here with Blue and our team for a site visit with our very first client, the one who gave me my first official event gig and is still with us today. I so appreciate them for taking a chance on me 15 years ago. And by the way, if you thought it was humid where we live in South Carolina, you have not seen a rainy day in Marco Island. My hair finally gave up fighting the good fight. I'm just like, okay, I'm done. It's about 800 degrees out there and it's about 10 degrees in here. Hopefully it's more comfortable where you are. So back to our regularly scheduled programming. Before we get started tonight, I want to share a quick story with you. But before we get started, I think we have a quick video for you. It's 10 years ago, and I met two coaches. They both started their businesses about the same time, both with big dreams of speaking on big stages and having time and money freedom and being known for their unique messaging. So now they're 5 years into their businesses. One has her first digital course under her belt, and the other has her first book. Both have big dreams of big stages. Both want to make enough in their online business for their husbands to quit their jobs and join them in the time and money freedom lifestyle. But here's where their stories diverge. One's having raving success, a one-to-many exclusive mastermind, two coaches working under her, leading a group coaching program, and using her methodology. She now has a super successful book, and she's filled a lifelong dream to lead 5-figure immersion retreats for women in her favorite cities around the world. And here's the thing, she got there by investing in her own stages, starting small and working her way to multi-7 figures, ultimately speaking on stages for crowds of 7,000 people. And her husband did quit his job, joined forces with her, and now they live their dream life in Paris, traveling the world with their 3 children, all while having massive impact on a global audience. That's right, you met her on training number 1, Fabienne Fredrickson, and it's been my privilege to use live events to fuel her explosive growth. Now let's go back to the other coach. She's just getting by, she's selling one-to-one, and she's frustrated that her income is stalled and she's trading hours for dollars. She can't find a way to scale her time and money, and from the outside looking in, it looks like her friend has a magic wand. She can't understand why no speaking engagements are coming her way because she knows her formula works. She sees her friends posting images of growing events and speaking gigs on Instagram all the time, and she chalks it up to luck, and she worries that she is never going to be that lucky. Now she's 10 years in, and she's grateful her practice is full, but she's totally exhausted. I'm not going to share her name, but I will share this. I see her and authors and coaches just like her every single day, struggling to break free of the stifling business they built using a spaghetti sales strategy. What if there was a simple structure and strategy that could radically alter the trajectory of your business? Would you want to know what it is? The simple difference between the two stories I shared is not talent or luck or magic. The first added live events to her business strategy using our structure for her 3-day live event with a sales as service approach that had people asking how they could work with her further and lining up at the back of the room when she made her offer. She's planning her, 15th live event and starting to outline her next 3-year growth strategy, hiring additional team members to allow her the time to continue focusing on growing her business. Now the other hired a planner and used what we call a spaghetti sales approach. We've talked about that. Spaghetti sales strategy, cobbling together her offer, throwing against the wall to see what sticks, modeling what she saw at other events she attended from the outside looking in. She didn't hit her targets filling the room, she didn't feel confident in her offer, and it didn't convert as well as she had hoped. Her first event turned out to be expensive, a lot of money, a lot of time, and super stressful. So she postponed the second one, wondering if the live event model is all it's cracked up to be, or if she is just not cut out for it. But without a back end, she doesn't see an end in sight. Without momentum and cash flow in your business, Without a one-to-many back end, your startup energy and all that excitement can just start to feel like a slow and painful death. The difference came down to investing in a proven process and then taking the leap. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, because stories like this are rampant in our industry and they break my heart because it doesn't have to be so hard. We have done hundreds of millions in sales for our clients. And here's an important thing to remember. I'm not teaching you something I did just for me. I'm teaching you something we do for our clients over and over again. There are a lot of coaches out there teaching you how they made money for them. I'm teaching you how we make money every day for our clients using our 3-day structure and sales and service strategies. It's a subtle difference, but it's an important one. Because the truth is, the average coach makes $40 to $60K a year. I Googled it. And another thing I Googled for you speakers out there is the NSA quoted the bottom 15% of motivational speakers made less than $25,000 per year, where the top 15% made $200,000. Our average host makes $1 million in a single 3-day. $1 million in a single 3-day. And many do much, much more. Most coaches, authors, speakers, and online marketers are looking for breakout success stories to be paid for their unique ability on their own terms, working when and where they want, choosing who they work with the ability to make as much as they want. I know you want to have the income and the lifestyle you deserve, all while you're serving a bigger purpose. So it's painful for me to watch entrepreneurs like you fail or swear the live event model just doesn't work when success is really just one structure and one strategy away. What's amazing about putting this strategy to work for you is that our clients have life-altering events that completely change the path of their lives and the lives of their students. And this could be you. Quite simply, live events are game changers. Nothing converts one-to-many programs and creates real transformation for right-fit clients, turning them into raving fans like a live event. And here's the thing, it transforms you too. Having raving fans, having people seek you out to speak on their stages, having time and money freedom to live where you want, do what you want, work with who you want, and you don't have to be a professional author and speaker to do it. You're going to meet someone tonight who added multiple 6 figures to his business using our model without being either. In fact, he's a total online introvert who dreaded being in the spotlight, but he knew it was the best way to reach the people who most need him. He went from 0 to 250 to 700K in a live event. His last event sold out his brand new program in 15 minutes. Yes, I said 15 minutes. And you are going to meet another entrepreneur whose live events look successful on the outside with crowds in the thousands, but he was actually losing money every year. Then he hired us, started using our strategy, and he had a multi-7-figure event the very next year. Now here's the thing, I can't claim you will get the same result, but I can tell you live events change the trajectory of both businesses. When you get results like that, it's not going to be your last live event. In fact, our speakers, authors, coaches, and online marketers often say they're actually in the event business because it drives most of their profits. And while not every client gets a multi-7-figure payday, our clients use the live event model to stack the results year after year, making each event a building block to reach their bigger goals. Fabienne, Shanda, Stu, they are all great examples of the type of clients who come to Sage to learn the model and use our strategic advice and live event structure to step up, take action, and grow their businesses. Because here's the thing, we don't just grow live events, we grow businesses. It's remarkable, and it's not average or typical. I really want you to hear me on that. Remarkable, but not average or typical. But we have dozens of stories like that who made crazy, amazing transformations that prove it's possible. And I often think about what would have happened if they'd not stepped into that bigger vision for themselves, if they'd never hosted a live event, if they'd not worked with us to put strategy first, if they'd not reverse engineered the design to virtually guarantee the end result, if they had not trusted us and trusted the process so that their attendees were asking for their high-ticket program before they even made the offer. That's the question this video is about. What happens if you don't step into that bigger vision of yourself? Are you ready to step into a bigger vision of yourself or dramatically grow your current business? Are you ready to step into what that would mean for you? Time and money freedom and end-to-one-to-one sales and having bigger impact with the message, the training, the coaching, and the consulting you are dying to get out into the world. I believe these two questions matter most in life. If not you, who? If not now, when? It's been true for me. It's true for our host. It's true for our audiences. And it's true for you too. We have a lot to cover tonight, so let's get started. All right. So we have thrown some crazy numbers at you, but it didn't start that way. I told you in a previous training how Sage started when my first husband's business failed and we had to find a way to pay our bills, or face losing our cars, or losing our house. I had a desperate need to save our family until he got back on his feet. I had always loved event planning, but the truth is I was scared and excited, and I didn't know at that time that I was stumbling onto a proven 3-day model for live events that allowed hosts to sell more easily without being salesy and allowed clients to say yes to high-ticket offers without a bunch of struggle at the back of the room. So making the decision to start Sage would ultimately change my life, allowing me the freedom to completely start over. Back then, I had one of those key turning points in my life. My business was starting to succeed, but my marriage was failing. I was 4 years into owning Sage, and it was the business that I started that made leaving all of this a possibility. Having your own cash makes making your own decisions a lot easier. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't as hard as it could have been because I had choices, and my choice was to move to New York City. When my marriage ended, I was determined to be New York City bound. It didn't matter that I didn't know anyone. It didn't matter that it was the most expensive city in the country. It was one of those if not me, who, if not now, when moments. And it just so happened that at that very same time, my mom came to me with an offer. She said she could turn the basement, her basement in her house, into an apartment for me, and I could live there. I'd have my own entrance, I could start over, I wouldn't have any overhead, I could run my life, and I could run Sage from her basement. And you know, it was a good offer. I mean, given my current circumstances, it was a good offer. And I had a decision to make: live in the basement or live in New York City. The basement or Broadway. And I chose Broadway. Literally, 395 Broadway. Literally. I knew no one, but I knew New York City was for me. And I knew that the basement was the death of a dream. Broadway gave birth to double-digit growth for Sage. It led to meeting the man of my dreams. You might know him. His name is Blue. And it led to having my own time and money freedom success story while I was helping my clients to do the same. And since then, I've talked to countless people facing similar decisions. And I always think of it as the basement or Broadway. And I always know the answer: bright lights, big city. If not you, who? And if not now, when? Because I know that live events can be a fast track to launching a product, a program, a mastermind, a group coaching program, or just about anything else. Whether you are just getting started, and this is an amazing way to have time and money freedom, but I know it can feel tough to get started. There's a lot to figure out. Or you're like so many people who have a good enough business started, you've figured out what you want to offer, you're starting to drive traffic to the offer, and you're having moderate success. But then you realize it's just the first step, and you're on an endless treadmill of finding new leads, and you're susceptible and feel like you're just one bad decision away from losing it all. I'm here to tell you that nothing gives you leverage, positioning, momentum, and cash flow like our live event model. It gives you the robust, less risky back end to your speaking, coaching, and online businesses. Live events gave me control over my life, doing something that I love to do on my own terms. And they can do that for you too. And here's what I want for you. If you can learn the structure and the strategy and do it successfully once, you can replicate it over and over and over again. And since you're watching this video, and this training tonight, I know you want this too. I know you want to connect with your clients more effortlessly than ever before. I know you want to have the positioning only a stage can give you and have tremendous impact by no longer dreaming of the coaching business you could have or relying on one-to-one. Instead, you want to be creating raving fans, huge success stories, and more leverage in your own business with the one-to-many approach. To do that, you have to overcome your two biggest fears. Whether you're a speaker or author, a trainer or coach, a guru or influencer, you're just starting out, you have customers, but you've never done a live event, or like the client you're going to meet tonight, you've been hosting live events and you just want to crush it. I'm invested in helping you get there because I know we can change the world, one event, one offer, one attendee at a time. And I know that we start all of this by changing your world. So let's talk about how live events change your life. The two biggest game changers are also your two biggest fears, and it's filling the room and making your high ticket offer. You've been telling us over and over again. And interestingly, the two are connected. You just don't want to fill the room. You always want to focus on filling the room with the right people, the right fit clients that you outlined back in your Big Why exercise. This is critical because your offer is created to appeal to those people. So if you fill the room with those people, your offer is easy. Conversions are easy. And here's the good news. Chances are you can launch your live event with the list you have, as long as it's consistent with the offer you are making. Our goal is to get you more leverage with your existing list. And more good news, if you're just starting out or you're pivoting to a new avatar, you don't need a huge list to host a live event because you don't need a huge live event to be successful. Yes, let that sink in. You don't need a huge live event to be successful. I know from your comments, it's absolutely your biggest fear, filling the room. So as promised, we are going to walk you through a simple exercise that we do with all of our clients to make it easier to predict your numbers and design your fill the room strategy. And to help you do this, I'm going to bring in my very best expert on filling rooms, marketing to ticket types, and finding right fit clients, my husband, Blue Melnick.
Well, Barry Baumgardner, this is always fun because I get to talk to you guys while I can't mute Barry's mic. That's my subtle way of telling her that I can't mute Barry's mic so that she doesn't say something inappropriate about the things that I'm teaching you in this moment. So what I'm going to go through with you tonight is something that we call the ticket map. And I'm going to use an example for one of the clients that we work with where we manage their entire event, including all of the marketing. So it's a special arrangement that we have with them. We manage their list building opportunities. We manage all of their email communication. We manage their mastermind. We manage everything for them. And the lead, who is the person on stage, simply shows up and does his thing, is his own best expert. Now, it's an interesting market because the marketplace is podiatrists. Now, in the United States, the podiatry market at its whole, like if you had every single person in podiatry on your list, you would have a list of 17,000 people. So it is a limited market. It is not a huge market. We have on our list right now about 15% of that marketplace. Now, we started with a bit of an advantage in that the guru, the person that we partnered with, is fairly well known in that industry. He's got a good name and he is actually a podiatrist. He practices every day. A lot of the times, gurus in the medical field, whether it's dentistry or other medical fields, chiropractors, etc., a lot of the people who teach those people aren't actually still practicing. In this particular case, our guru is still practicing, and he has a mega practice, in fact, with, I believe it's 22 offices, over 50 different partners, doctors, similar to the way law firms are set up, and it is pretty cool. Now, that has nothing to do necessarily with the information marketing business that we've supported him in growing over the course of the last 7 years, but it helps you to understand where it is that we're going. Now, I'm going to do a couple of things here that, and again, I'm sorry because I have to manage the stream while I'm also talking to you, so it's always entertaining. But what I want to do is give you a sense of where they are in terms of their growth, and then I'm going to go through this exercise, this ticket map exercise that we actually went through with them for their upcoming annual conference. So the information marketing business that is called FABI, Foot and Ankle Business Innovations, was started about, it was 2014 was the first event, so it actually was started in 2013. So it's about 7 years old, approximately. And like I said, this has been a slow growth. It's not a huge marketplace. Our first event, we had about 50 people, ballpark. The next year, we had about 75 to 100, and it has gradually grown over the course of time. Last year, we had about 150 people at the live event. But, 150 people doesn't sound like a whole lot, but the offer that was made to those 150 podiatrists was a mastermind offer for about $32,000 for the year. Well, that live event, including sponsorship revenue and ticket sales, generated about $800,000 out of 150 people. So we've been talking a lot over the course of the last week or so that it doesn't have to be a huge audience, and this is a great example of that. Now, we have a fairly high ticket offer, obviously, $32,000, $33,000. There's a pay in full and a payment plan option, but $800,000, $900,000 is very significant for that small an audience. Now, what I'm going to show you is how we got there. Obviously, we started with our Big Why exercise. In fact, this particular client may actually be the first time that Barry did the Big Why exercise about 7 years ago, because we were trying to determine what was the best way for us to reverse engineer what we wanted, which was a mastermind of up to about 10 to 15 people the first time around. How do we reverse engineer that to get the right people into the room? So we started with the Big Why exercise, right? We took a look at the audience that we were looking for. We took a look at what the host, Lowell, was willing to do and what he wasn't willing to do, because he has a full-time job with managing his practice in addition to actually practicing podiatry. So he's got a full-time job. This was, for lack of a better way to put it, a part-time gig, right? So $800,000 to $900,000 out of a part-time gig. It's still part-time. Pretty awesome. So where we landed was this was the type of podiatrist we were looking for. We weren't looking for somebody who was working for a hospital. We were looking for somebody who was a practice owner. We weren't looking for somebody who was still a, what's the word when they're a fellow? They weren't a fellow.
Fellow, that's right.
Yeah. They weren't a fellow. In other words, they weren't still apprenticing, essentially. That's what a fellow is in the medical community. We were looking for people who were practice owners or were partners in a practice and could make the decisions to join a mastermind, to join a high-ticket offer. So that's where we started. We started with the Big Why exercise. Now, fast forward, I'm going to run you through, the next thing that we do is we do a ticket map. And I'm going to walk you through what that looks like. In fact, I'm going to show you a screen, if I get this right. This is an example of a ticket map. And it's a pretty simple exercise. But what it is how we determine approximately how many people we're going to wind up having at our live event. And it's rows and columns, just a simple spreadsheet. And I'm going to go through the different columns, what they mean, and then I'm going to walk you through the actual numbers for this year's live event and how many people we're anticipating as a result of it. So the first column is marketing avenues. That is essentially the different ways that we are marketing this particular event, the different ways that we're putting it out in the open. Now, I don't just mean we're marketing it on Facebook, although we could do it that way. You'll see in a moment, in our particular case, our marketing avenues are moments in time. So throughout the course of 12 months, because this is an annual conference, we have moments that we market the live event to that small list, right? That list of about 15% of the total marketplace. It's 22%, or 2,200 people, I believe, at this exact moment. So we have different moments in time that we do marketing. And the marketing varies. I'm going to give you a couple of different ways that we fill this particular live event, and I think you can use it to think about how you can fill your live event. The next is the date or the deadline. So again, these are moments in time, right? So for each marketing avenue, when does it take place? Then we have number of prospects. The number of prospects obviously is how many people we think we are marketing to for each avenue. This will make more sense in just a moment when I start to go through it with real numbers, anticipated conversion, and then the actual number. Then we have 2 additional columns, which is bring a friend comp ticket. I'll explain that in a second. Actual bring a friend numbers and totals. So once you go through and you start layering in the different marketing avenues that you're going to use to fill your live event and use some real metrics, some safe guesstimates, right? Because what we really want to do here is use what we call planning math versus marketer math. And what I mean by that is be conservative. If you think that you can, for a specific marketing avenue, you can sell 10, put 5. If you think for a specific marketing avenue that you can do 75 people, do 50, right? Give yourself some room to exceed your expectations so that you're not disappointed, because this number, this ticket map, is going to be what you use to then make big decisions about your live event. It's going to be used to make decisions about what venue to host, about your budget, about your approximate conversions from your live event, how much revenue you anticipate, because in the end, we've been talking big picture and how awesome live events are, but of course, live events are a part of your business, and in order to be in business, you need to be profitable, and this ticket map is going to help you with that. So, I'm going to dive in and walk you through the 6 different marketing avenues that we use for this particular annual conference, and you'll start to see how it works. So, the first one that we use is a next year's event. Now, what I mean by that is at the existing annual conference, because this is an annual conference, we make an offer for people to purchase tickets at a discounted rate. Now, I'm going to say that this takes place in the, let's go back to that. This takes place at previous event. Number of prospects. This is how many people, in this particular case, how many people actually purchased. So this past year, we had 25 people say, yes, I'm coming to next year's event, and pay for the tickets. Now, anticipated conversion is how many people of your prospects will actually come to your live event. I know we're going to have some drop off from those 25, but I also know this market because we've done this event six years now. This upcoming event is our 7th. I know my anticipated conversion from those 25 people who purchased is about 23. The next number over is bring a friend comp ticket and bring a friend actual number. I'm going to skip over those and keep going on how we continue to fill this particular event, and then I'm going to come back to the bring a friend because it is consistent for all of the different ways that we fill this particular event. So next thing we do is mid-year we do a webinar. So what that webinar is about halfway through the year we do a webinar where we market to the entire list, which again is pretty small at 2,200 people, and say this is a check-in webinar. We want to see how your year is going, what you've accomplished since the last annual conference, and give you 5 tools that you can use to make the last half of this particular year successful, right? And for this particular webinar, the exact structure that we used was 5 items, like I said. The first 4 were different strategies that they can use in their business. The 5th one was you should invest in yourself. And in our particular case, you invest in yourself by coming to the live event. So, coming back to this number, the deadline for this was July 2019, and we had about 150 people on that webinar, and our conversion rate was 7%. So, we had 11 attendees sign up from that particular webinar. Now, let's keep moving. The next thing that we do is a product launch. Now, this particular client has a marketing product to help podiatrists fill their practice. And we do this in September of each year. Now, I'm going to give you our numbers from last year, and based on our list and how things have changed, I know that it's going to be fairly consistent. Our product launch generated 20 sales. Now, each of those product sales came with a ticket to the live event. It wasn't free, but it was included as a bonus. And in this particular case, I know that these tickets are going to convert at about 50%. So of those 20 people who purchased the product, 10 of them are going to come to the live event. you can actually start to see down here, right next to the total, we're already at 43 attendees. Just from doing at your last event, would you like to come at a discount? A simple mid-year check-in with some good marketing language around the webinar, and then a product launch that isn't a knock it out of the ballpark product launch. We only sold 20 products. So, but already we have 43 people coming to this live event. Next up, we do some price increases, and every time we increase the price, so we have early bird pricing, then we have early pricing, I can't remember what it's called, but at each price increase, we get a bump in sales because people don't want to pay more. So it's a great strategy if you have the runway to do that. So our next one is price increase, and this takes place in October of 2019. And based on last year's number, we're anticipating about 15 sales from this. Again, our anticipated conversion, people who come to the live event, is pretty high from this because these are purchased tickets, so it's going to be 90%. Next up, and I spelt price increase wrong. Well, you guys get the idea. Next up, we do a Black Friday sale. And we usually couple that with a Cyber Monday sale, so it extends over a few days, and that takes place in November. And based on history, we get about 20 people to purchase their tickets at that price point. Again, 90% of them will come to the live event. Now, those numbers will be different for you, but if you know your numbers year over year, and it's important to track this stuff, if you know it, you can fill in something like this fairly easily. Now, the next one, and this is where you're going to see a pretty big bump, is we do a New Year's Day webinar. Now, New Year's Day may sound like a special kind of torture for you, but especially to get up and do a webinar. But the thing that's interesting about this particular market is being doctors, they're all at home. They are all relaxing on New Year's Day, and it was easy. It was like right for the pickings. They signed up and they showed up. We had a higher than normal show up percentage for our New Year's Day webinar than any other webinar that we've ever done previously. And it was in large part because there's very little conflict. There's not much going on New Year's Day other than maybe a little recovery from New Year's Eve. So this obviously takes place in January 2020. And we had last year about 350 people show up for the New Year's Day webinar with a 10% conversion. So cutting back to our ticket map, we are now, you can see, at 110 people attending the live event. Now, you might wonder, how do we go from 110 to 150 or higher, because that's our goal? Well, this bring a friend comp ticket conversion metric. Now, in this particular case, we actually sell tickets to additional team members. So what takes place is somebody who's a doctor will bring an administrator, or they may bring a second partner. And on average, about 20% of our attendees bring at least one other person. Now, for you, if you are filling your live event, oftentimes what a lot of our clients will do is they'll give away or they'll include a bring a friend ticket. This is a ticket or bring a colleague. This is a ticket for you to bring somebody else who's either in your business or somebody else that you work with in your marketplace, or perhaps a client that you think could benefit from this information. It makes you look good, and it's a benefit. Like if I was the one giving it to you, it would make you look good if you gave somebody else a ticket that you paid for, and it would make me feel good because you bring somebody else. Now, on average, our bring a friend numbers across the board are in the 15 to 20% range. That's for clients who give those tickets away for free, or oddly enough, in this particular case, where we are actually selling those bring a friend or bring a team member tickets. So I'm going to cut back to our ticket map, and you can start to see how these numbers fill in. We're now at 131 people who are coming to this particular live event. Now, I told you a couple of seconds ago that we are aiming for about 150. There's one other piece of the puzzle, and that's existing customers. We happen to have about 32 people in this mastermind at this particular point. And all of them come to the live event because one of their meetings is connected to the live event. Now, I'm going to say 90% of them just because I think that's probably a little bit more fair. But there you go. We are now at 161 people who are coming to this live event. Now, this exercise probably seems pretty simple, but if we were aiming for 200 people, which we actually are for this particular year, I know based on our standard ticket map that we have some shortcomings, right? We're at 161 people. Now, what we have to do internally is start to think about, okay, where can we increase our marketing? What else can we do to encourage other people to come? So one of our avenues for this coming year is going to be to encourage our mastermind members to bring other team members or to bring other practices from their community to our live event. That has worked well in the past for us. Another thing that we're going to do is we're going to take one of those webinars and turn it into an evergreen webinar and push some ads to it through local industry trade papers. There's a lot of different ways to do it. So the thing that you have to think about once you've done your ticket map is what are some additional ways that you can start filling the room with additional people? Where are ways that you can step on the gas with your marketing and do it? Is it an extra webinar? Is it an extra Facebook Live? Is it some Facebook ads to drive traffic? Is it, leveraging your existing clients to support you in getting the word out? So that's the ticket map. Don't let its simplicity fool you. It is probably the third most important thing that we do in the lead up to a live event. The first one being the big why exercise. What would the second one be? I know there was another one. I lost it. Anyway, the first one being the big why exercise, and of course, the second one being offer creation so that you can reverse engineer everything, right? So those two things are the most important. Then we do ticket map. And from those three exercises, everything else falls into place. So I hope that information has been helpful. I'm going to slowly lead it back to my beautiful bride. Hello, lovely.
Hello.
I love it when she says the man of her dreams to all of you, and then it happens to be me. It's so exciting for me.
It's exciting for both of us.
It really, it really is. All right, so I'm going to put Barry back on with you. It's been a pleasure. I'll talk to you again soon.
Isn't that awesome? Isn't he awesome? He is so awesome. I hope you think so too. So I cannot tell you, before I dive into teaching, I cannot tell you how many people how many people we're going to have at our live event, and they just put their finger up. It's like, they're testing the water. It's like, 250. That is not the best way to decide site selection or decide on your liability for rooms or decide how big your room needs to be, any of those things that are so critical to hosting a live event. This ticket map is freakishly accurate. And the thing that is often the aha moment for our clients is it's just sitting down and thinking through the brainstorm. What are all the different ticket types? What are all the different buckets that we could use to fill the live event? And then being super conservative. Right, what Blue mentioned was a writer downer is, we have our stretch goal with Fabi of 200. We're right now at 160. We're going to do everything in our power to get more like 220. So if we have some no-shows, we have 200 in the room. Doing this exercise lets us know where we are. And more importantly, we track against the ticket types. So once we start the marketing runway, we actually track how successful were we. Were our predictions accurate? Were they up or were they down? And then we know a ticket type performed really well. We want to put more energy there next year. Ticket type didn't perform really well. Is it because of that ticket type or it was because of the approach we took? It is super helpful data. If you're going to be event stacking and building a live event business to generate millions for you, you really want to have as much data as you possibly can have. So doing the ticket map the first time, super, super helpful. Doing it year after year and filling in those details, super, super helpful. And this is what I want you to take away from this. You don't get scared by the percentages in the math. You're guessing a little bit the first time, but the percentages that Blue gave you are pretty helpful indicators. And we're going to post the ticket map along with some tips and tricks for you after this training tonight, just so that you have your own version and you can start to fill it out yourself. What I want you to really connect the dots on is the ticket map is your marketing runway. When you start to market to all those different ticket types, fulfilling those deadlines and going down the list, it warms up your list, it fills your room, and it gives you critical metrics for launching and tracking the ticket types that perform the best. pre-event and on site. Like, did they actually show up? Not just register, but show up on site, which is pure gold for building momentum for your next live event. As soon as you launch a marketing effort to a dedicated ticket type and you start to get results, you track them here to be sure you're on pace. And I can't tell you, there's nothing more fulfilling than starting to fill in that ticket map, like cha-ching, cha-ching, check, 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 like we got it. Or shoot, that one didn't land, what are we gonna do? It allows you and your team to really stay on pace and make sure you know where you're headed. In our course, we also show you how this very same tracking can be used in conjunction with room tracking. That's the number of rooms picked up at your host hotel to predict liability, opportunity, and show up versus no-show rates, which is super, super helpful information. So let's go to the second thing that holds most people back, and that is not having a product that easily converts to a high-ticket offer. Ultimately, if you are going to have a back end, you need a high ticket offer that converts. So to Blue's point, you had the big why exercise, you create your high ticket offer, you create your ticket map dedicated to getting right fit clients. Nothing generates more revenue more quickly, gives you more positioning, gives you more credibility, gives you a bigger reputation than when you have a full room and you have a great offer. Doesn't have to be a big room, just a full room with a great offer. And even if you don't have a product or you've never designed a high ticket offer, the simple strategy that is based on the big why exercise for designing a high ticket offer will not only give you a product and a program to sell, it will give you immense clarity on the motivators that drive you and that drive the people you're meant to serve. The very deliverables that are going to make them raving fans and success stories, and all the gaps you need to fill to deliver the program, and this is important, without compromising your non-negotiables. So we taught that high-level big why exercise in training number 2, and we spend a lot more time on this in the course, because once you know these variables, filling the room, filling the ticket map out is so much easier, because you know the ultimate promise, and you can reverse engineer the program content from there. You know who you're speaking to, you know who you're trying to attract, you know what problem you're trying to solve for them. You speak to that, and the rest is pretty easy. Believe it or not, it's easier than you think. So think about it. Would it be so much easier going into your live event, knowing what your high ticket offer is going to be, and feeling confident that it's the right fit for your audience? That's exactly what the strategy first approach that we've been talking about does for you. And here's the simple truth, and it's surprisingly simple. If you design the high ticket offer first, and then you write all the marketing copy, all the ads, all the web copy, all the posts, if everything you do to fill the live event is written to the right fit client, and you do nothing but seed the deliverables you've already outlined when you design your live event blueprint, that program at a glance, which is designed around your high ticket offer, and then they register, and then they show up, they are your right fit clients. You have a room full of right fit clients, and you know that they want what you have. They've paid to see you deliver that content. And a certain percentage of them absolutely want ACE, the accountability, community, enhanced opportunity that we taught you. They want to get there faster and easier. They want you to help them, and that's what you offer them. So doesn't it make sense to create an offer that you know your audience wants to buy, and you know with absolute certainty has resonated with them because they bought the ticket based on that? It's easy to procrastinate, try and get it perfect, but the live event is the perfect incubator for testing your high ticket offer and having it evolve with you and with your right fit clients. They are literally going to pay you to create and improve your program. They're going to pay you to create raving fans, and you get to do it one-to-many instead of that coach who was doing it one-to-one. That one-to-one, going from one-to-one to one-to-many is a big jump in your leverage, in your income, and your impact, and it takes less of your time while it positions you as an authority. And I'm just going to come right out and say this. My goal for you for your first or your next live event is to have the very best sales week in the history of your business. My real goal is for you to get a year's worth of one-to-one sales in a single live event. Now, I know it's a stretch goal, and it's not an income claim. I'm not guaranteeing that, but it is something that we achieve over and over again with our clients. And I know this newfound success gives you more leverage, more time, and the ability to confidently sell a high-ticket offer over and over again. And then you can add those advanced monetization strategies, that level 3 we talked about, to have this model give you even more leverage. That's VIP sales and sponsorship and speaker splits. They can add hundreds of thousands of dollars. Of course, there are going to be some costs associated with producing your live event, but still, you have to agree, it's a pretty amazing result for just a weekend of your time. And the thing is, it's all a structure and strategy that allows you to start where you are and go from there. This exact model is how our clients go from online digital revenue to offline live event multipliers within a year or less. And the great news, if you are already launching, those of you listening who are already launching or you have an online launch planned for the near future, the launch to live event model, no brainer. The launch can include a ticket to your live event where you then take existing customers and give them access to deep dive strategies using that same ACE model we talked about. And here's the best part, you launchers, the revenue is all yours to keep. No costly affiliate payouts. So if you're in launch world, the launch to live event model is a way to easily multiply your business and your profits from your existing launch audience. And it can be as easy as teaching that very same course you launched live. And here's the other thing. There's something else that comes along with it you didn't expect. All these extra benefits come your way. The same way that Product Launch Formula founder Jeff Walker talks about the launch echo, not only can live events be part of your launch strategy, be part of your launch echo, they have their own echo. The event echo is the money that you make, not just at the live event, but afterwards. Event in a box recordings, next event sales, evergreen enrollments, and so much more. The event echo is also about how you're going to be treated not just as an expert, but as an authority, a guru, with people asking to be on your stage, asking to be part of your live event, asking to join your team, asking what other products and services you have, inviting you to speak on their stage, interviewing you, buying product from you, and sending clients to you. That's the event echo, and it would have taken you years or even decades to achieve that with other models if you even got there. And trust me, it works in every single niche. So all these new opportunities are endless, especially as you continue to grow the model. You're building momentum and you're building new raving fans and success stories with every single live event. And you're literally getting money to flood into your bank account. So whether your dream is $10,000 a month or a 7-figure payday or more, it's all possible with this live event model. So I want you to take a minute and think about it. What is your ideal number? Is it 10 people at $25K in a high-ticket mastermind like Lowell, or 50 people at $10K in a group program like Fabienne, or building towards 600 people at $15,000 each? Think about that number. Think about your number. Picture it in your mind and imagine what it would feel like to hit your goal. What would it mean to you? What would it mean to your family? And what would it mean to your future? I want you to meet someone who used this exact model to overcome his fear of being on stage and create instant leverage in his business. Hey, Dylan Frost. Thank you for joining us here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here. What's going on?
Well, we are trying to help some people get inspired and overcome their fear of hosting a live event, being on a stage, put together their first high ticket offer or their next high ticket offer, and fill the room. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But before we do, I want you just to explain a little bit for our viewers. Tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Oh, well, I'm nothing if not inspiring, let me tell you. If I can do it, anybody can do it here. Yeah, my name's Dylan Frost. I own a Amazon retail business, multi-million-dollar Amazon retail business, and then a program called the Wholesale Formula that teaches and trains other people how to sell on Amazon and use the same strategies that we've used to become successful at it.
And when did you start the Wholesale Formula? How long have you had that business?
Oh, what was that? It was like very beginning of 2015.
Okay, so 4 years, and now it's a multi-million-dollar business helping other people learn how to sell on Amazon.
Yep, separately of the retail business is all. It's a separate multi-million-dollar business. Yeah.
It's amazing. You are actually one of my most inspiring clients. Like, I love the work you do, and every time I talk to you, it makes me want to go sell things on Amazon. So I could have a satellite business selling on Amazon too, because I know you. So, so I want to talk a little bit about, I remember we know each other because we're in Plat Plus together. So Dylan and I are in a mastermind together, and he and I happened to be speaking at a little mastermind for one of our good friends, Brian Kurtz. And so we were there in Connecticut on the same weekend. And the way I remember it was we had breakfast together in the hotel restaurant and just started talking about this idea you had of kind of, up-leveling and having your next event. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, why did you start to get into the live event model, and then what made you decide to stick with it and then ultimately hire Sage to help?
Sure, yeah, and I want to be clear about something. I talked about our business being a multi-million-dollar level. It is now, the wholesale formula, but when we were having that discussion back then, it was very fledgling, so it was very early on in the process. So we've grown a lot. Thanks in a large part to adding live events, and that's the conversation that we had. I remember I was inspired by going to other live events and seeing how much success and how much revenue that all these other people in the internet marketing space were having. It was basically like the back end live event could, for some people's businesses, be half or even the majority of the revenue that they would make for the whole year. And I knew that I wanted to successfully do that and implement that into our business as well. I thought we had the ability, but we had none of the knowledge. So that's why I asked the master while I was there. I started asking you if you would be able to help us or just give me some feedback or some tips, because I had tried, mostly unsuccessfully, to do it myself before and had an event. An event. It was, oh man, like you can probably show some amount of the images. I can show you the pictures of back when I tried to do live events myself. But we had 50 people show up to, I can't even remember what the name of the hotel was. It was like a Hampton Inn, basically the basement of a Hampton Inn, and you can see these pillars throughout the room that made it very difficult for people to be seated and see we didn't have a stage. It was just a certain part of the floor that people would stand to present. So that was me trying to do it myself, right? Didn't go very well, pretty embarrassing. So then I talked to you guys and just got some tips and advice. And I remember very specifically, you sent me an email. It was just one email of exactly how to structure the live event, when to put what content where, how to do this, how to do that, so that it optimized the best opportunity for me to sell something. It gave them the best experience. And then there was so much different, so many like psychology around the way that you present or treat people or have people go through the experience that blew my mind and really changed the way that I look at a lot of things in my business beyond live events. Very impactful. And I did it myself again, but this time using the outline that you guys had given me, step by step what to do. And I also hired an event planner to help me with that and to follow through with that. And so we went from having 50 people to about 150 people at the next one that I did myself. And we did about $250,000 in revenue versus the almost zero revenue that I did the previous time without your support and advice. So we really saw a huge lift and a huge boost. And what that led to was, well, holy crap, we can do this. And that's when I leveled up again and stopped trying to do it myself, and I just hired you to do it for me ever since then. And I can just keep talking if you want me to. But
well, I wanted to ask you, I'm going to pause you right there just for a sec, because I remember at that breakfast, so at that point you'd used our model, you'd had 150 people and generated about $250K, and you came to me and said, I'm probably going to be your worst client because I don't really love being on stage. In fact, I'm petrified of getting in front of a room. I'm not really dying to host a live event. It's sort of a necessary evil in a sense, and that I know it's a portal to help me get my tribe the help that they need, because I know they need. You have a huge heart, and a big part of it was like, I know there are people out there struggling, and if they just had the wholesale formula, they'd be making thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions on Amazon, and I want to help them get there. And I know the live event's the best way, so I'm willing to do it. But I'm scared to do it. I'm not exactly sure what our offer would be. There were a lot of what ifs and kind of fear around it. I know some of our viewers are struggling with that same thing. I'd love for you, if you're willing to, just to share a little bit about, why it was worth it to overcome the fear and how you did that.
Well, and I still believe that I've got to be one of your worst ones, because of the things you mentioned, I hate being on stage and I hate selling. But two things you have to do and have to be able to do to have successful events a lot of times. And so I have crippling anxiety. I'm always petrified. I can't sleep or eat leading up to these events. And I'm just in my own head. I'm on the stage thinking like, oh, I'm doing terrible. No one likes this. I'm not any good at this. I'm not, charismatic enough, not interesting enough. Why would anyone want to watch me go up on stage and talk? And then every time I'm done, it seems like there's always a standing ovation.
There is always a standing ovation. And not even in just your rooms. When you speak on other people's stages, you get standing ovations.
And people always buy. And so that's the thing is like, I'm convinced you can be pretty bad, but if you just follow what Barry and Blue say to do, if you just follow the procedure, no matter how bad you are, it ends up working. It works for no matter how nervous or awkward that you are, like me.
Well, and I want to tell you part of why it works. Thank you for that. I mean, I do think that our structure, this proven structure and this strategy work for anyone. But I also think there's something that I would love our audience to know as a takeaway. This is from me to you, but also me to the audience, is why it works for you, Dylan, is that you are so authentically you. You don't step on stage and try to be someone else. I remember that very same mastermind you were speaking at. It was a U-shape of probably 40 people that we were presenting in, super casual, no stage. And I think I had a flip chart and I did my thing. You had your phone in your hand and you kind of did yours and you kept checking your notes as you just walk casually around the room and you're just like, yeah, I'm just going to refer to my notes so I don't forget anything. And the whole audience was just like leaning in because you're a genius and everything you said, we were writing furious notes because you're so amazing and so smart at making complex ideas super simple and easy to grasp. And on stage, you do that same thing. I mean, those standing ovations are you being you, dressed the way you dress. Like you don't try and be someone else. You show up and you are who you are. And the audience loves you for that because audiences, I have been preaching this all week, crave authenticity and they sense the integrity and they love the fact that they can tell you're not dying to be on stage. In fact, you're kind of dying to be on stage, right? And they're like, he's willing to do this even though he's scared to death. Like it says so much about him. They love you for that.
Yeah, I've always said you can just lean into it. You can lean into the fact that you're nervous and people can appreciate it and feel that you're authentic and you can be more endearing. And that's true. It is what you're saying is like I've done plenty of presentations just holding a phone in my hand and basically like just looking up every now and then, but mostly reading everything from the phone and people are still okay with it. So you can relax a little bit knowing that you can be that, it can be that bad. And people still really enjoy it and enjoy wanting to hear and learn from you. And to this day, I just read direct from the teleprompter. Every word that comes out of my mouth at my live events is written, and I'm reading it. And it's fine. It works out.
It does. It does. And you get those standing ovations and people go to the back of the room and buy. So, fast forward, you did the first event, 50 people and made no money. You did the second event, 150 people using our strategy and structure did 250,000. Your next event, I think you hired us. I think we had around 300 people. Is it right? Maybe it was 200 something in that range.
Our most recent event with you guys, we had over 300 show up and then the total revenue, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's like between $600,000 and $700,000.
It's amazing. And here's what I want to focus on there just for a second. In our second training with our audience, we basically focused on the importance of crafting an offer that's really unique to you based on your big why, based on your right fit client, based on what would make them a raving fan, like what are the things they need to be absolutely raving about you and your services, and then what are your non-negotiables. And I think what's fascinating about what we came up with for you is most people just rush to, okay, I'm going to have a mastermind, I'm going to do a group program. It's kind of default to the obvious. You were really strict about your non-negotiables, which were, and correct me if any of this is wrong, but you and your partners were working on a pretty big philanthropic issue with the state of Kentucky, helping people who couldn't afford your product to get access to it so that they could change their lives through selling on Amazon. So you had this really big passion project you were working on. And because of that, this had to be a short run, couldn't be a whole year. You were adamant it couldn't be more than 6 months. You had limited time. There's a lot of content out there. You didn't want to be doing a bunch of calls and one-to-one coaching because you don't have time for that with this other thing you were creating. And you knew that your raving fans most needed, the right fit clients most needed some hand-holding to get it done, like almost a done with you experience, just to get them to do the work, get out there, get their first sale, know they could do it, and then take it from there. So we created something really unique. It was an immersion experience. You just finished that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this is a really humbling interview because you're making me realize I haven't done any of it. I have these big successful live events and I didn't do any of the work. I just did what you told me to do. It's just like, I didn't have to do any of that. I'm not as smart as I thought I was. I can just follow instructions really well. But yeah, like all the stuff that we sell at the events is mostly you guys come up with a lot of the components of it, or help me get clear on what it needs to be, and know how, because you guys know how to serve the needs. You've done it so many times. You know what people want, what works, what excites people, especially in those environments and live events, and then what works for us. We're your client as well. How to make it to where we're happy, and so we're providing something that we are in the end very satisfied with. So yeah, exactly. And it's not just that. I do want to pivot and definitely talk about how you guys are great at and something that you've helped me, and it's helped other components of my business, and the way that you've taught me how to get people to show up, how to actually get butts in the seats, right? Because I told you when I did it myself, I got like 50 people to show up, and now we're getting 300 plus people to come to these events. And it was all just the strategies that you taught me how to make sure and how to strategically market to people to make sure that they're excited about coming, the best times to approach them, and then after they've decided that they want to come, to ensure that they do show up in the end. All these little things that are really a big part of it, that when we want to do a live event, we kind of forget about some of those components in between when they agree to come and then actually making sure that they show up at the end. There's a lot of secret stuff that you can do to make sure that happens. Really important. And I'm sorry to just like ramble on forever, but like I just realized something, how big of an impact that you guys have had on me. I've just got Post-it notes in my office of it's not reminders of what things to do, it's reminders of ways to think. And so like these are ones right here that remind me of ways to think. They come from you guys, right? This one is classic Barry, which is only you can do the work, but you don't have to do it alone. So I hope I'm not just like giving away.
No, I love that. I say it all the time. I've already said it in our trainings. It's something I really believe in.
Another one here talking about what people need and what helps for you to craft a great offer: accountability, community, and enhanced opportunity. So I keep things like this that come directly from you guys right next to my desk, so I'm constantly reminded by them.
Well, thank you for that. I'm humbled by that. I've learned so much from you, and it means a lot to me that we've helped you, and we've given you something you can you can have next to your desk, like some words to live by. That's so good. I mean, it's really things that we preach every day. We've been talking about it with our viewers here, like the importance of the ACE model, that accountability, community, enhanced opportunity. So many people make offers harder than they need to be, but at the end of the day, that's what people are buying. That's what they really want. And, in the age of some people getting on stages and just trying to sell anything that sticks, it really is important to not try and have, the magic wand effect. It's not a magic wand. Like audiences, whether it's our audience taking our model or their audience is taking their model, the buyer has to show up and do the work. Like only they can do the work. But the benefit of the work we do is they don't have to do it alone. It's why we created this course. We can't, there's only so many weekends in a year. We can't do live events for everyone, but we created this course because like only they can do the work, but they don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. It's my favorite part is the psychology behind it all. I love that.
And I think in module 4, we talk about how to fill the room and all the strategies that you use to do ticket map, and then not only sell the tickets, but to your point, Dylan, to keep those buyers, to get them to actually show up to the live event. Because a ticket that's purchased that doesn't translate into an actual butt in a seat, a person showing up, doesn't really matter, right? So it's not just filling the room, it's getting them to actually show up. It's such a big piece of it. And then knowing what to do with them when you get them there. And I think you and your partners are genius at really taking good care of the people in the room and building a sense of community. Like I don't know if we have a picture of this. If we do, my team will have to put it up. But in your office, you have a big sofa and video games. So basically it's like one of those sofa loungers, like the ultimate man cave sofa lounger, if you picture that. That's in Dylan's office. That's where they have their team meetings. And we love it so much that we created one night on the stage just like that. We bought the exact same sofa, we got video games, and we had you guys sit on that on the stage. And the audience loved it because it was just authentically you.
It was cool. Oh yeah.
So we've covered Big Why. We've covered kind of overcoming your fear, filling the room, and just trusting the process and using the structure. Is there anything else you'd love to tell our audience, like for those that are sitting back at home, they're nervous about taking this first big leap into, having their first event? It might be 10 people, it might be 50 people. It's, their first event. Or some of our audience has been hosting live events, but like you, they're not having the success that they were craving, and they're maybe thinking of giving up on the model, and we're trying to convince them that they can do this too. Any words of wisdom to share with them?
Oh yeah, you can level up the same way I did in our business, early on in our business when it was still growing. And I just followed your advice and just took action, had my own event, and then it had strong success with it. And that enabled me to level up to where I could just hire you. That was the next big thing, and that I hope that everyone gets to experience the opportunity to be able to do, to grow into just hiring you to run my events. So that tripled the revenue that was already pretty good going for us. And then so like that's an evolution that I hope everyone else can make. And you probably don't charge enough, so I'll say you should charge more for your services. Don't charge me more, but you should charge everyone else more.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I know. I'm going to put Eric's quote. Like, you were telling me before this that one of your partners had a little snippet about us. I'm like, I need to be putting that like front and center on our website.
Yeah, so my partner had said, after working with you guys, like, actually, it's funny. So I wanted to hire you to run our next event, and everyone was really skeptical because of how expensive it was. It's like $55,000 or something like that to hire you to run our live event. My partners were skeptical, but they went ahead and trusted me. When it was all over and they got to meet you, work with you, and see the result, one of my partners said to me, I would rather use Berry and Blue at full price than use our old event planner for free.
Yeah, thank you. We so appreciate that. And I love working with you guys too, equally. It has been an honor, seriously. Like, having you in my life has been a game changer. I've learned as much from you as you've learned from me. So
you haven't pulled all your hair out yet. So.
Well, and Dylan, thank you. I know how busy you are. I so appreciate you taking time out of your day to inspire our audience with your story and share a little bit about the behind the scenes. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
I don't know about you, but I love Dylan Frost. I hope you were as inspired by him as I am. I really wanted you to hear him because it's all about starting from where you are. Now that you have this model, you can not only fill the room, you can design your 1-day or 3-day content. And as a quick recap, here is how the live event model can meet you where you are. If you were already successfully hosting a 1-day, a 2-day, or a 3-day, you can get real leverage by implementing our structure and strategy on your next event, on your next 3-day, including additional revenue strategies. 3 days allow a lot more opportunity for revenue generation through front-end, on-site, and back-end revenue generation. If you have an unleveraged business coach, service provider, consultant, working one-to-one, you have clients, somewhat more, you only have so much time, you're building a high-ticket offer, and you're selling one-to-many, and you think it's easier in a 3-day, just remember, it doesn't have to be a big list or a big room. If you have no business, no product, you're looking for freedom, then possibly a 1-day is better for you, or a small 3-day if you're confident enough to go out there and get started. It doesn't really matter whether you choose a 1-day or a 3-day. In both cases, live events change the visibility, the positioning, and the awareness of your brand in the market. Live events are a game changer. I keep saying it over and over, but it's true. Live events are a game changer. And for those of you who are just starting out or are making a pivot in your business, hear me on this. No notes, just listening. Just listen to me. Don't let these objections stop you. You don't have a product. You can use a half-day or a 1-day to create a product quickly, and as you learned from our guest last week, this can be done with a 3-day too. Perhaps you're out there thinking that you're not yet a guru. Top experts and authorities got the positioning and authority from the live event, just like Dylan Frost. Or you're thinking you don't live in the US. Trust me, this works everywhere. It's been successfully proven in different countries, different languages. Erica Rocha, I could list any number of others using these same messages globally. And you're thinking that your business is different. We call this the unique snowflake syndrome. Know that our clients come from all walks of life, and there's evidence in different niches and different industries. Think of Dr. Lowell Wild, the example that Blue shared with you earlier. Or maybe you're not sure you're ready for the investment. And just I want to let you know that this model works for all levels of business owner. You can successfully use a 1-day or a 3-day. And think about it, 3 days can get started with as few as 20 people. Think back to Stu McLaren. His entire 7-figure business started just like that. And if you're thinking that it won't work for me, here's one of my favorite quotes that I first heard from my mentor, Jeff Walker. It's from Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. Think about that. So for those of you thinking, I'll never make $1 million, know that most people don't and won't make $1 million, especially for their first live event. But a small minority do, and lots do 5 figures and 6 figures right out of the gate. So I have to ask you, what's your dream? To launch a high-end mastermind? To launch a group coaching program? To launch a high-end mastermind that ultimately leads to a group coaching program? To fill VIP days? To have sponsors and speakers pay you to be on your stage? Share it with me in the comments area on this page. I would love to hear it. It's essentially, what's your Paris? Thinking way back to our first training, what's your Paris? Do you want to sell a program for 5K, 10K, 50K? Do you want to make 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures? The great news is this model works in any industry. Our clients are realtors, real estate investors, foot and ankle surgeons, restaurateurs, mortgage brokers, coaches, MLM superstars, intuitives. They're in personal development, business development. It really runs the gamut. And as I've mentioned before, it crosses borders. We have clients in Brazil, France, Iceland, Portugal, Hungary, Canada, and of course here in the United States. I have been coaching people on live event strategy for the last 15 years with incredible results. And we innovate every single day for easier ways to fill rooms, fill programs, and fulfill your dreams of time and money freedom. Now, I'd like for you to hear from someone else, someone who went from losing money to having incredible results, making multiple 7 figures in the span of 1 year.
All right, so first off, I want to welcome Russell Brunson to today's live event workshop. Really excited that we get to chat with him. He's the founder of ClickFunnels, but I actually have known Russell for, gosh, it feels like almost 9 years. The first time we worked together, I was helping with production at a Glazer Kennedy event that I feel like they pretty much turned into the Russell Brunson show.
It was pretty great. No, it was funny because that event, Bill asked me, he's like, do you want to speak 4 times at the event? I'm like, are you serious? Like, yes. And then I had the mic for so long, I kept trying to get you guys to change the slides from GKIC to GKBIC, Glazer Kennedy Brunson Inner Circle. And I think you even did it once on the slides. It didn't stick, unfortunately, but I tried.
Well, I mean, listen, at this point, I think any name would stick with them. But anyway, tell me a little bit about why you spend time on stage, because you and I have gotten to know each other behind the scenes, and something that I didn't really realize is you don't really love being up on stage. So being on stage and hosting live events seem like more of a means to an end than a desire, like I want to do this. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it goes back to the very first event I ever went to, which is now like 15 years ago. And it was an internet marketing event. I didn't know how the speaking world worked or anything. I just knew I was going to go learn marketing and talk to some marketing nerds like me. And I flew to this event, and it's the first time I ever seen somebody else, and speakers getting up, speaking and selling, all this stuff was happening. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to learn this skill set. And then, a lot of people think that it came secondhand, and it didn't. I showed some of the clips at last year's Funlocking Live of how bad I was. But I went the first couple times and I tried to speak from stage, and I bombed. I didn't make any money. It was horrible. It was embarrassing. I was not good at it. But I kept seeing how people were using events to grow their companies, how they're making money, how they were having bigger impact. And I was like, I have to learn this skill set. And so I started learning it. And then I spent probably 2 years on the road, probably once or twice a month, going and speaking and doing it. And I got better and better at it, but I didn't love it, mostly because at the time my wife had just had our twins. And every time I left, I was just like, I'm leaving again and again. And then on the, how it is, the road's lonely. I didn't have many friends back then. It was just me. The company was me. So I didn't have my little team that could travel with me and make it fun. And so I kind of stay away from it. So I didn't love it. But I also look at, especially since we launched ClickFunnels, how big of an impact the events have on growth and culture, and like bringing your most hyperactive members and customers into a room where you can serve them at a level that just makes the entire rest of the culture and the community grow. And so it became something like I really do like parts of events, like our event, but it's definitely not like the thing that I do for fun on the weekends.
Well, for sure. So we've been talking this week with the folks who are watching these broadcasts and these trainings about how you can use live events to grow your business. And of course, a lot of them are speakers, authors, entrepreneurs, kind of the traditional info marketing space. For ClickFunnels, you guys are a little bit different, right? Because it's a little bit more of a user conference. You mentioned Funnel Hacking Live in your event, which we've had the pleasure of working with you on for the past 2 years. Tell me a little bit about why you guys hosted, as a software company, which is what ClickFunnels is, why you guys launched Funnel Hacking Live.
Yeah, we're starting, this will be our 6th year, I believe, this year of doing it. In a prior, before ClickFunnels happened, I had done a couple of live events and I never had super good results with them. In fact, the last time I did it, I think I thought 500 people were showing up and less than 100 showed up. And I was like, that's it. We're never doing live events again. I told my team, like, we will never do a live event again. And we didn't for probably 7 or 8 years. And then when ClickFunnels came about, it's just funny how the users were like getting to know each other on Facebook, and they're like, we need to do an event. We need something. And so we decided to do the very first event in Vegas just because everyone kept asking for it. I had so much fear around it just because the last event I'd done prior, nobody showed up for it after they bought tickets and everything. And so we put it together. It was in Vegas, and we had 600 seats and we sold out. I still remember, though, even the day of, I was like behind the curtains, like so scared no one was going to show up. I was like shaking. I remember like peeking through. I'm like, oh, there's people out there. Like, thank heavens this is not going to be like a train wreck. And it was only planned, it was going to be a one-time thing. And then the feedback from it was so awesome that we decided a couple months after the first one, like, okay, let's do it again. And then it's just kind of gained momentum. It's just been such a powerful way for our users to come together. And I mean, you know how it is. Entrepreneurship is like the loneliest job in the world. And for us to be able to create this venue where entrepreneurs can come together and be together and network and learn. And it's, for a lot of people, it's the first time they've talked to another entrepreneur, first time they've talked to someone who thinks like they do, who believes like they do. And so it becomes like a family, and people keep coming back year after year after year. For sure.
And you mentioned impact earlier when it comes to live events and the sorts of things that you get to do. And, you know, we talked with Stu McLaren earlier this week, who you guys have done some work with on the impact side of things. Talk to me about some of the, I mean, I know what they are, but I'd love for you to share with the audience some of the philanthropy things that you've been able to do with OUR, with Village Impact, through the power of your live events, and how that has not just translated for money for ClickFunnels, but the good you guys have been able to do in the world.
Yeah. And there's two sides of it too. There's one's like the good you do directly, but the second half is like, it's been fun watching people who come to our events experience that and then go home and making it part of like what they do. Like they get a taste of it at live event, and then it doesn't just end right there. It goes home, and then they do more to generate that kind of stuff as well. But yeah, we kind of have two things. Number one, like you said, is Village Impact. I've been friends with Stu since the very first time he tried to raise money for, it was World Teach Trade back then. And we did these telesummits back before webinars were a thing. And just always loved Stu and Amy and tried to support them, you know, every step along the way. And when ClickFunnels came out, we decided to, like, every time someone built a funnel that went live, we'd donate $1 to Village Impact. And the very first year we brought a check on stage, and we were like so excited. It was like $20,000 or something like that. And we're like, oh, this is so cool. And the next year it was like 40,000. Then it was like 90,000. Then like 120. I'm like, oh my gosh, people are building too many funnels. But it's been cool. And then we even, one of the funnel hacking lives, I think it was before we started working with you guys. But we let people sign to come to Kenya with us. We had a whole group of funnel hackers come to Kenya with us to build schools and raise a bunch of money to build schools. And it was just so cool to see, especially people that got to come to Kenya and experience it, because like their lives will never be the same after seeing like what a few dollars can do to radically shift somebody's life forever. And then 2 funnel hacking lives. The first time we had a chance to work with you guys, that's about time I'd met Operation Underground Railroad and really fell in love with their message and their mission, and felt inspired to try to figure out a way to help. And the way that kind of came out of us praying and thinking and trying to figure out how to serve was to create a documentary. And so we helped fund a documentary, and then we aired it at Funnel Hacking Live. And man, I'm sure you still remember, like it was crazy. At the end of day number 1, we watched this thing and no one had seen it before. We didn't know what to expect. And by the time it was done, like we were all just a mess, like bawling our eyes out, like so emotional. And Tim Ballard, who's the star of this movie, who runs Operation Underground Railroad, he was there, and people had a chance to meet him and hear his story. And it was crazy. Is he actually, in the end of the film, he adopts these 2 kids from Haiti, and we did a big fundraiser on day 1, and then he got a call while we were there saying, "Your kids are ready to pick up." They've been sitting in Haiti in an orphanage for like 3 years waiting for all the paperwork, and so he flew from Fun Hiking Live to Haiti, picked up his kids, and then flew back to Salt Lake where he lives. And the last day of Fun Hiking Live, we streamed in him with his kids, and everyone's just bawling their eyes out, and we ended up raising over $1 million right there during the event for OUR. And what's crazy about it is $1 million is cool, but you look at I think it's like $2,500 to save a child. So you look at that, it's like hundreds and hundreds of children were saved because of this experience happening at the event. And we did the same thing next year at Fun Hiking Live. We showed a new documentary. We raised another $1 million. It was still cool. It wasn't quite as emotional. The first one was so emotional because we didn't know what to expect. I don't think there was a dry in the room. But it's just it's such a powerful way to I don't know, as a community, to serve something bigger than just yourself. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's amazing how you can motivate people to take action and to support a cause that you believe in when you have them in this space where they've learned to trust you, right? Because at the time that we did that, it was, I think, end of day 2, something along those lines. And you've spent 2 days with them giving and just providing this amazing content. And now it's like, it's time for me to share something that I really care about with you. And I would like to enroll you in supporting us in this cause. And, it's amazing what that trust transfer does to get a room of 5,000 people, or close to 5,000 people in your case, to support the same mission that you're on with OUR, with Village Impact. So, the impact that a live event can have, it's awesome in terms of what it can do for the host, but also what it can do for the causes that you believe in. So yeah, I love the fact that you integrate that into your live events because, while they're now super profitable, and I'd love to talk with you about that in just a minute, but beyond that, they really help you to make a significant impact, not just on the attendees who learn these amazing strategies and how to grow their funnels and how to use ClickFunnels at a more deep level, also helps to make a significant impact in the world.
Yeah, it was crazy. I watched after Fun Hiking Live when we did the documentary. Then I saw a whole bunch of other people. Like one of them, for example, Justin Williams, who runs a real estate coaching business. Like 6 months later, he brought OUR there, showed the same documentary, and then they raised, I don't know, $150,000, $200,000 for that as well. And then other people did it, and like the ripple effect, it kept going beyond just the event. Like people got inspired, and they're like, I want to share this to my audience, and like. It just gives you such a neat platform to have such massive effect on change. It's hard. You can't get that same impact through email or through a Facebook Live. Like it's different, something special when you have everybody together like that.
Oh, for sure, right? I mean, you're sitting next to somebody and experiencing it with them, and they stand up to go and make a change, make a difference. And, the person on your left, the person on the right helps. And it's like, well, of course I'm going to help. Otherwise, even if I wasn't compelled to, I was like, I feel like I kind of have to now.
Yeah.
So talk to me about this, because the first call that I got from you guys, I don't remember if it was from you specifically or if it was from Dave, but Jeff Walker, who's one of our clients and good friends, went to one of your events, said to you, essentially, at least this was the message I got, you have to call Sage, you guys are leaving money on the table.
Well, let me tell you the full story up from my side, because it was again, we've done 5 Fun Hiking Lives now, I think. And it was kind of like a hit and miss. Like the very first one, we actually made some money. And it was like, oh, that was awesome. And the second one, we did okay. And the third one, like I had this big strategy in my head and I choreographed this whole thing and it totally didn't work. And we did not make any money on that event. I remember just like kind of being like bummed out. So I'm like, oh, like, not that's the reason for the event, but it's also like, I'm a marketing guy. Like that's how we keep score. Like we did win or we lose. And I felt like we lost that event. In fact, I remember I did a podcast afterwards. Someone messaged me like, was the event a failure? I'm like, a failure? I'm like, well, no, it was like, it was an amazing event for everybody. I'm like, but like, I had goals and we didn't hit them. And it was after that I was actually at a Tony or Dean and Joe Polish's 100K group. and I was there, and Jeff was there, and he was like, "How's your last event going?" I'm like, doing the thing like, "Oh, it was great." He's like, "How'd sales go?" I'm like, like I totally bombed this year. I'm like, I wasted a whole year. And he was like, and I've known Jeff for a long time, and he's never tried to sell me anything. He stopped. He's like, "Russell, you have to hire Barry and Blue to do your events." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, No, you don't understand. Like, he's like, prior to using them, I was doing, I can't remember the numbers, like $1 million every single year. And as soon as I switched, it was like 3 million, like 3x my money instantly. And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "I don't think you're listening to me." And he's just like, "You have to do nothing. Like, the only takeaway from this entire thing is you have to call them to run your events." And like, it was probably 20-minute conversation of him pitching me on you guys, and he doesn't get anything for it. And I was just like, I've never seen Jeff hard close anybody except for me at that one time. And I was like, "All right, I'm going to make that call because it seems really important." And so obviously we did, and you guys came in for the last 2 events and the next one as well, and hopefully for forever. But we shifted how we choreograph things based on kind of your guys' model, and I don't know if you want to talk about the results, but it was insane. So much so that like after it was all done, like we were all in the back crying. Like, that was a very emotional event, between crying at the OUR $1 million raise and then crying because of the I can't remember exact number, 12 or 13 million dollars we sold at the event, which was insane. That was even a possibility. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, one of my favorite comments all time from any of our clients over the course of the years, in terms of something that they've said post event. Was how you introduced us at the wrap meeting for the first meeting that we did with you, which was, I'd like to reintroduce you to Barry and Blue, our new best friends. So that's something that definitely sticks with me. So, I mean, if you're willing to share, I know you said $14-15 million that first year, and I think we came close to replicating that the second year, so we know lightning does strike twice. But talk to us about, if you're willing, some of the numbers pre-Sage and the strategies that we implemented.
Definitely. So year one, again, it was a small event, but we did, it was under $1 million, probably $600,000 in sales, which I was like pumped about, because I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." Year two, we did $1 million in sales, which at the time I was like, we did $1 million in an event. I was freaking out. Year three, we lost money. I think when all said, it was like $250,000 in sales, on an event that cost us $1.5 million to put on. So that sucked. Yeah. And so it went from 250,000 to, what's that? No, 10X would be 2.5 million. So it was like, not 100X, whatever that is. Like,
it's a big number.
More than 10Xing like 5 times. So 50Xing or something. Yeah. So that's kind of the trajectory. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So let me ask you this, because I know we're a little bit short on time, and thank you once again for spending the time with us. I know you are super busy, because you now have a team of like 200 plus and just doing amazing things.
340 as of today.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So just really quickly, somebody thinking about implementing a live event in their business, even small ones, because we've been talking about, even you put 10, 20 people in a room, it can be super profitable, because a really intimate environment like that for 3 days, and all of a sudden, your conversion rates just skyrocket. But what would you say to somebody thinking about implementing live events in their business?
I think it is probably, if you look at any great business or movement, it doesn't just grow because of your external marketing. It grows because there's a central nucleus of people who are obsessed with what you're doing, and they share the message. Like, if you ever read the book Tipping Point, it talks all about this and the process and the best way to like mobilize those people is to get them from wherever they're at, bring them together, and share this amazing experience with them. And then you look at ClickFunnels, we have 95,000 members as of today, something like that, right? And only 5,000 will show up to the event. So it's a fraction of percentage. But once you show up, they are the people who are the ones who spread the message, those who are the most excited, most obsessed, most whatever you want to call it. They're there, and you have a chance to serve them. And then when you break, like, those people go out, and then the entire company as a whole rises, because your raving fans are like on fire, and they're going out there and they're sharing it and they're telling your story. And like, it's like the best way to stimulate a business that I've ever done. So we keep doing it. So we haven't stopped, like, definitely there's a lot of work that goes into an event, and it would be really easy just to be like, "Hey, let's not spend 6 months of our life trying to fill this event. And, 4 days bleeding to serve everybody." but man, it's the central nucleus that makes everything grow. And I had a chance last weekend actually, which was really cool, is to experience an event that you guys had choreographed from the opposite side. I went to Stacey and Paul Martino's event as a customer. I was like, I want to that's some of our favorite success stories. And I wanted to see their process and learn from them. And I wanted to be a student. So we signed up and went to the event as students. My wife and I sat there, and I watched as my personal life and my relationship got changed because we were sitting in that room. And you know, and it's funny because I've gone through their podcast, I've listened to their home study, like I've done all this stuff, but still being in the room and experiencing it changed me and my wife and our relationship. And the relationship I have with my kids now is being shifted because of what happened at that event. And so, man, I'm so grateful that they were willing to put on an event, especially like when we were there, they said, you know, 2 years ago, there was like 15 people in this room. Then there was 100 people. And this year there was 350, but it started with a handful of people in the room. And they started the process. And what was cool, you know, as a marketing guy, especially who has obviously studied your guys' process, I sat there and I watched the process. And I didn't try to pressure my wife into buying it. I sat there, I was like, just curious, like, how is she going to respond to this process? And my wife, I mean, she loved the event. She's going crazy. She was, during the pitch, she's like, we got to buy this. And she's freaking out. And she's running the back of the room. And I was like, it's so cool to see it from the other side. Because sometimes I think people are afraid, like, oh, if you're going to do an event, you're going to sell things, like you're a sleazy salesperson. It's like, no, when you understand like what you're actually doing, like Stacey and Ball provide an event that was life-changing to my wife and I. And then they gave this opportunity now where we can continue to learn and grow with them over the next 12 months, which we took. And so they made a bunch of money, but like, man, they served at such a high level that I don't know any other way you can do that. And so for anyone thinking about it, man, it is worth it. Even if you only get 15 or 20 people with your first one, because that's where it starts. We're not gonna lie, the first one 600 people, and then it was 1,200, then 13, then fifth, whatever, and then 5,000 will be there this year. And so it's starting and going, and it'll bring your raving fans together, and they will grow your message and your business from there.
Awesome, Russell. Thank you. Really appreciate you spending the time. Like I said, I love that story. I love hearing you experience our process in somebody else's room, and that it got your wife to get up and go to the back of the room and invest in Stacey and Paul.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's definitely one of my new favorite stories for sure. I'm as soon as I get off of this, well, Barry's listening to this live because this is pre-recorded, but what you're going back to is live. But anyway, I can't wait to talk to her about this one. This is going to be fun.
So cool. Very cool. Thanks for having me, man. I totally appreciate what you guys have done for our company and for our event, and I hope everyone else works with you guys as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Russell. Talk soon.
All right. Thanks, man.
So what I most love about that video and what Russell shared is not just his epic results. I mean, it's pretty incredible and admittedly not all that typical to go from losing $250,000, $250,000 on his live event, to making close to 15, like 13 or 14 million, right? It's a pretty incredible payday. So I love that story, and I so appreciate the trust that he put in us. But I also love the way that he got to experience that same exact model on a super small scale, not 5,000 people in a room, but a few hundred people in a room, and getting to watch it and see the model unfold, and then seeing his wife, Colette, go to the back of the room because she was so moved, because she was the right fit client for Stacey and Paul Martino. I mean, that is so awesome because it's the way it's supposed to work. It really is that easy, and it really does scale to any size live event. That structure and that strategy work on all levels for any audience, for any host, for any message in any country, in any language. It works. So I just wanted you to see that for the last 7 days, I've been sharing some of our most game-changing strategies, the very same exercises that we do in our Strategy First VIP consulting days. And here's the thing, we charge $20,000 for this same strategy when we do one of those VIP days. And we haven't even started the course, and we're doing this with you. Now that we have done as much as $15 million in sales in a single weekend, I know the Strategy First approach puts the rush in the right place. Not a rush to fill the room or Frankensteining an offer together. Not a harried stampede of people racing to the back without even knowing what they're buying. It's not that. That's not what I'm here to teach you. What I want for you is that rush of excitement when you fill the room with right fit clients. Small room, medium room, big room, filled with right fit clients The rush of adrenaline when you nail your offer with integrity and you don't have to be salesy. And I want you to have the calm that comes when you see your right fit clients rushing to turn in their deposits for your program, trusting in you and in your ability to change their lives with your unique ability. I want you to have the rush of knowing that your life is about to change. That's why I cannot wait to share my new course with you. It's called Rush, the Live Event Blueprint. Registration will only be open for a few days. For the first time ever, you will get 11 brand new training modules, and to make it easier to digest, it's broken into 4 sections that are based on the exact same call roadmap process that we use to plan a live event with our clients. The very same stealth tips and strategies that our clients pay over $50,000 per event for access to. I'm going to be walking you through the steps to fully develop your high-ticket offer and create the content for your live event. From site selection strategies, which I know you guys are dying to hear, I've been seeing those comments, to my never-before shared strategies for sales is service closing at the front and the back of the room. This course is designed to be a module a week. And here's the thing, at Sage, we recommend at least a 6-month runway for a typical 3-day live event, the kind that we produce. And we're going to take you through this course with done-with-you content in half that time. At the end, everything will be ready for you to implement in your own live event structure. If you fall behind, no worries. You work at your own pace. You review it as often as you like at your convenience, and you fill in the blanks with detailed live event templates as you design your own live event. In these 11 modules, we are going to cover all the pre-event, on-site, and post-event strategies and tactics that we use to launch overnight superstars, creating 5-, 6-, and 7-figure paydays. We're going to help you figure out if a 1-day or a 3-day is right for you and how to transition between the two so that you have a thriving event business, not just a one-time event. Then we're going to review the exact sequences and the nuances of the content and layout of the 1-day and the 3-day models. We're going to show you how to create massive excitement and anticipation in your audience so people are ready to buy even before you make your offer. We're going to review the flow of an offer and the final call to action, or what I call repitch. Many people call repitch, I call heart close. And it's what I ultimately believe makes the difference in really jumping the needle in conversions. I will cover what you need to do on site to read the room and to keep your head in the game, and how to get more people into the program without customizing a one-off payment plan or making it easy for them to decide between payment plan and pay in full. You're going to make it so easy for them to say yes to themselves first and yes to you second. We will cover one of my favorite topics, how to pick a date, a city, and a venue, and the non-negotiable clauses that you must negotiate to protect your liability with the venue. I will share the biggest mistakes in meeting spaces that can absolutely be an offer killer if they are not done properly. We're going to review the simple trick for tracking and minimizing your biggest liability that most people miss, and we're going to provide detailed templates for tracking team and your time, your budgeting, and your cash flow. I'll even give you the 3-step process to make budgeting decisions pain-free, along with the single most important thing that you must do at your first or your next event to not have to make any advance payments to the hotel in the future. We will cover sponsorship and speakers and the vendors you need to hire, what to look for, and how to manage them before and during the event, along with providing you a directory of our preferred vendor resources. And last but not least, we're going to tell you what you need to do in the final 3 weeks to prep yourself and your team. It doesn't matter whether they're part-time, full-time, volunteer, family. For the event, we're going to show you exactly what to do to have them help you, including how to handle objections from the stage in the back of the room. And those nuances of training your team to support you so that you're not having to worry about anything but being amazing on stage. We're going to cover what roles are most important to make sure that you can be your best self on stage. We cover all of that in this course. So listen, that was a super high-level overview of the modules. I could easily have talked for 30 minutes about each one, and it would be super long. But I know your time is limited, and quite frankly, mine is too. I have a live event for actually a client that we've been working with for a decade, Allison Maslin, in just 2 days. And I have a course to get jump started. But I just couldn't live with myself if I did not get this out into the market. We have been getting requests for years. We have more business than we have weeks in the calendar. And even with multiple event teams, there are just not enough weekends in the year to fulfill the demand for business. And it is critical to me that you don't decide that live events don't work, or decide that you're not ready because you don't know enough, or you don't have a big enough list, or you aren't a good enough speaker, just because you don't know the strategy and the structure to get you there. The bottom line is we are going to cover a lot of ground in those 11 weeks. And at the end, you'll be ready to host your own live event. And we will make it easy with the schedule to get you into action using the exact same strategy that we use to generate hundreds of millions. We have been paid over $50,000 per event for our clients for these very same strategies in that same amount of time. And it's super easy with plug and play access to get it done. And here's the thing, we're going to share case studies to inspire you along the way, people who are just like you. And we're going to show you how to do your own case studies live on stage to inspire your audience. You'll even be eligible for your own case study. I've often found that some of the best value comes from these case studies, and you're going to have access. Plus, we have an incredible community, so you are never alone. You're surrounded by people just like you, led by me, led by Blue, and by our team. And we have live coaching calls, so you get your questions answered by me, live and unscripted. You can ask anything at any level. It doesn't matter whether it's newbie, advanced, or anything in between. We get a lot done in these calls. Plus, you get recordings of these deep dive coaching calls. And we're at our best when we're live and unscripted. You're going to want to listen over and over, in part because others are going to ask the questions you didn't even know that you needed to ask. It happens all the time. We also have a private community to get your questions answered as you implement during the course. I'm going to be in there every single week getting your specific questions answered. So no reason not to post them there, no reason to hide behind the question. I think this is a pretty amazing offer of stealth tips and strategies, timelines and templates that I've never shared outside of our client work. And I'm including some new materials and behind the scenes support they haven't even seen yet. I want it to be impossible for you to say no to you. So I created these amazing bonuses on top of what I just shared. So it'd be so over the top, it would be impossible for you to refuse. I have not one, not two, not three, but 4 amazing bonuses that create the right kind of rush in your room. The first bonus is what I call the adrenaline rush. The adrenaline rush is prepping for the modules that need the most support to nail your offer. It's the opening, the closing, and the invitation series, what I call the triad, and that welcome lunch. Specifically with the triad, I'm going to give you scripts for your inspiration panel, scripts for your invitation/offer, scripts for laser coaching night, a soft close that same night, and a heart close, or what people call the repitch, the next morning. Make it super easy for you. For the welcome lunch, I'm going to give you scripts and agendas, tell you how to track numbers going into the lunch. That's going to be a big help to your team, what to do with your collateral, how to handle payment processing, and the fastest path we've ever discovered to getting agreements signed on site so there's nothing to tidy up when you get home. I've never sold this before, but when I do, I promise you it will be at least $9.97 by itself. The next one, the second bonus, is a complete no-brainer. It's what I call the back of room rush. It's my script, my training, and my sales as service, non-salesy, no way icky, no arm twisting strategies to make you and your team super comfortable having closing conversations at the back of the room. I walk you through it step by step, overcoming every single objection in a way that makes you feel comfortable and authentic and super comfortable in who you are. I've never sold this before, and again, when I do, it will be at least $9.97. And then next up is my third bonus, and it's called the lead gen rush. I know tons of you are concerned and asking about how you introduce coaching zones. You're seeing at other events. Well, I'm going to share with you exactly how we structure them, how you compensate the coaches, how you manage the schedule, the scripts the coaches should use, and how you handle post-event follow-up, which can lead to lots of additional enrollment. I've never sold this one before, but when I do, it will be at least $19.97. And now, my fourth bonus, and here's the thing. This is the one that should probably have you joining us in Rush regardless of the rest. For each of you that host a live event in the next 12 months, we're going to do an event debrief call with you personally, just you. That's right. You'll either get me or Blue going through your event and dissecting what went well and what you can do differently. We do this with our clients, post-con debrief. It's exactly what you need to do to get ready for your next live event. I don't even know how to put a value on something like that because it's something we only do for our clients, the same ones who invest over $50,000 per event with us. So to be extremely conservative, because I hate overhyped numbers, let's just say it's $29.97. I'm doing all of this because I want to incentivize you to get to the finish line. And I know if I offer you a post-event debrief, you're more likely to host your first live event or up-level your next event. I know you're more likely to put this structure and strategy into action for your business. And I want to get you there. I'm trying to enroll you in you. If I tally all of these bonuses, it equals at least $69.88, something like that, $7,000. So by now, I've got to believe you're wondering exactly how much Rush cost. The reality is, it's not going to cost you anything. It's about making you money. It's an investment in yourself and in your business. In fact, the way we've structured it, it's impossible for you to lose. And let me explain how. The investment in Rush is $29.97, but because this is the very first time we've released this product, and because you've spent the last week with us, you only need to be willing to invest $19.97 to hold your spot. I want you to claim your spot with that $19.97 one pay, or just $7.97 if you take the easy 3-payment option. This covers my time, Blue's time, and my team's time to put all this together for you, and it ensures that only serious people join. I want you to be serious about your success in this market. All of these investments have risk, but this one is an exception to the rule. There are only 2 ways this can go for you. You put my strategies together in your live event, and you have a game-changing year with a mind-blowing multiplier. Or the second scenario goes like this. You don't do anything with the material, you get distracted, or you just decide it's not your thing and you don't do anything with it. And listen, it's okay, it happens. In that case, just take advantage of our 21-day free look policy. Just send me in an email and I'll get you a refund right away. No harm, no foul, no hard feelings. So either you get a mind-blowing return on your investment or you get your money back. I don't know about you, but I wish more investments were that easy and that pain-free. Basically, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. You have a full 21 days to see if this is right for you. If for some reason you decide it isn't, just let us know and we'll gladly refund your money. So go ahead and click the link in the chat or click below this video and join me in the program. You can also open a new tab and go to rushcourse.com. That's rushcourse.com. The one last thing I needed to mention is that this is a limited offer. We are literally opening registration for a few days, and then we close, and then we start the class. And I am super charged up to get started in that class. If you want to get in, you need to register now. I cannot promise you when I will do this again. I don't even know how I'd fit it in the calendar. But I do know the next time it will absolutely be at a higher investment, and it may not include all of these first-time buyer bonuses. So before you allow this to pass you by, I would ask myself, if it's not for me, if not me, who? And if not now, when? If you know you're meant to do this, why would you allow one more day to pass you by? If not you, who? If not now, when? It's one of those basement or Broadway kind of decisions. It's living with good enough or bright lights, big city. It's living with spaghetti strategy or strategy first. This is your opportunity to create a new path and create a pattern interrupt in your life and your business. And here's what you need to know. Different behavior yields different results. Isn't it time for a new you with enhanced clarity, enhanced positioning, enhanced leverage, enhanced results? This could be your breakout year. I know there are people out there who think that people magically have massive success through their live events, or who think we wave a magic wand to make a host successful beyond their wildest dreams. But the reality is there's a strategy and a structure that work. It's been refined over 15 years with a formula that we use over and over with amazing success in vastly different markets, with vastly different event hosts, with vastly different audiences who have vastly different incomes, with offers from $2K to $100K. serving their audience, curating amazing transformations for their tribe, and changing their own lives in the process. And I want that for you too. If that is the kind of success you want, your next step is to click the link below or go to www.rushcourse.com and get registered for this program. I started with the story of two coaches, one who stepped up and invested in the 3-day live event model, and one who took the more, let's say, traditional path, one-to-one, stumbling on the event model all the while and wondering why success just kept passing her by. I took a similar risk to the one who invested. I took a huge leap of faith when I started Sage back in 2004, and I am so glad I did. Since then, I've hired coaches and consultants to help me get where I am today, faster and easier than going it alone. I've worked really hard to find the best of the best, to help me work on my mindset, to help me improve my toolkit, to learn how to get to my desired goals faster, simpler, and easier. Essentially, I was cutting a check for speed and surrounding myself with like-minded people who could stretch me beyond what I thought was possible. And the result of all of that has been my own time and money freedom with a better life and a better lifestyle than I ever thought possible. My multi-million-dollar event business was founded in the middle of a recession, and it has thrived from day one because we are a strategy-first company. And when you start with strategy, when you look at an event as more than just logistics, more than just a ballroom in a hotel, more than just an offer from a stage, when you see that it is a transformation for you and for your people, and when you begin with your big why exercise and reverse engineer every aspect of the event to lead to the offer, you have the epic, life-changing success that others who treat it as just another event simply do not have. This week, you met Shanda and Stu, Russell and Dylan and Fabienne, and every area in their life is better today than it was before because of live events. You cannot put a price on that. I can't decide for you, only you can decide, but I hope that each of these stories has helped you get enrolled in your ability to do this for you. And of course, you have to learn, you have to work. It is not a magic bullet, but if you want to create lasting change for you and for your clients, this course is going to blow your mind. You're not unlike some other clients that we've worked with that you haven't yet met. Take Marcia Weeder, who left a complicated coaching model for a program that we designed with 4 immersion retreats a year and 8 Q&A calls a year. That's it, 4 immersion retreats, 8 Q&A calls, generating $2.5 million in her 3-day live event. Or take Erica Rocha. He started with a couple hundred people just a few years ago, and now he has 7,000 people coming to his next annual live event. We'll be joining him in Brazil this year. Again, we love his annual event. And based on last year's revenue, we're projecting $6 to $7 million in US dollars. And what's more important, he is fulfilling his goal of changing a country by creating new opportunities that were never before possible in Brazil. He's literally changing not just his tribe, but his country. It's his path to changing the world. Or on a simpler level, you could look at a client that we worked with that had just 25 people in the room and generated $350,000 from 10 people buying a $35,000 done with you offer, an offer we helped them create. It doesn't take a big room to create really big dollars. I know that none of these stories are typical in our market, and after all, no one's typical. But really, what is typical? After you do your first successful live event, you immediately start to plan your next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. Your life is never the same again. But if you decide to pass on this, investment, chances are your life tomorrow will not be any better than it is today. Now is your time. It's time to step up. There has never been a better time for you, but you have to act now to take advantage of this and put these ideas into action. Reg is closing soon, so now is the time to take advantage of this, to enroll in Rush, the live event blueprint, and get started with us, bringing the awesome power of a properly executed live event to your life and into your business. All it takes is clicking the button below or going to www.rushcourse.com and joining me now. This is your time. I would love to serve you in creating a bigger and better life on your own terms, serving the people you're meant to serve and having the impact that I know you were meant to have. Click the button now and let's get started planning your Paris, your Broadway, your uniquely you vision. Click the button now to join Rush, the live event blueprint. I'll see you there.
Where I was in my business, I had been a business coach on the phone, just like 30 calls per month, sign up for the 6-month program kind of thing. I was always at full practice capacity.
I was selling one-to-one and just, I would basically open up my programs twice a year and I would spend 3 months as a sales cycle selling one wave. So I put 2 waves through and that was my build strategy.
What I was doing is I was transitioning from another company that I had built and ultimately sold.
It was an internet marketing event. I didn't know how the speaking world worked or anything. I just knew I was going to go learn marketing and talk to some marketing nerds like me. And I flew to this event and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to learn this skill set.
I talked about our business being a multi-million-dollar level. It is now the wholesale formula. But when we were having that discussion back then, it was very fledgling. So it was very early on in the process. So we've grown a lot. I think it's in a large part to adding live events.
At the time, I was probably, when I met you in 2007, probably made around 200 something a year.
And then I spent probably 2 years on the road, probably once or twice a month going and speaking and doing it. And I got better and better at it, but I didn't love it, mostly because at the time my wife had just had our twins. And every time I left, I was just like, I'm leaving again.
Like I was fearful about doing live events because I actually am shy.
I was inspired by going to other live events and seeing how much success and how much revenue for some people's businesses would be half or even the majority of the revenue that they would make for the whole year.
So I was starting from scratch. I had 0 audience. I had no following. I didn't have a product to sell. But what I did have was I had expertise.
When I started documenting my intuition and creating a system, a proprietary system out of it, that's when I could create the product. That's when I could then create a live event and take everything that I knew and put it into 3 days.
But I went the first couple times and I tried to speak from stage and I bombed. I didn't make any money. It was horrible. It was embarrassing. Like, I didn't love it. But I also look at how big of an impact the events have on growth and culture and like bringing your most hyperactive members and customers into a room where you can serve them at a level that just makes the entire rest of the culture and the community grow. And so
I had to work through a lot of layers to be able to get up on the stage. But I knew that the stage was an important piece for not only credibility, but influence.
And I knew that I wanted to successfully do that and implement that into our business as well. I thought we had the ability, but we had none of the knowledge.
Ultimately, what I ended up doing was I started with a really small event. It was for 20 people, and I taught a workshop, which ultimately ended up becoming the flagship course, which is now called Trining.
And then when ClickFunnels came about, it's just funny how the users were like getting to know each other on Facebook and they're like, we need to do an event, we need something. And so we decided to do the very first event in Vegas just because everyone kept asking for it. And so we put it together. It was in Vegas and we had 600 seats and we sold out.
When I did my first event with you in August of 2007, we added like 100,000 just from that first live event. Right. The following year, tripled the income to over $1 million.
So when I looked at going into events, like I didn't realize it would be such an amplifier because I was still so freaked out. The benefit was the amplifier because I went from 60 people in a program to selling, 60 people in 3 days.
We went from having 50 people to about 150 people at the next one that I did myself, and we did about $250,000 in revenue versus the almost zero revenue that I did the previous time without your support and advice.
What happens is you got to get started somewhere, and when you do, it leads to ultimately what it's become now, where we have this big event where we've got hundreds and hundreds of people coming, and I'm super pumped and excited.
And it was only planned, it was going to be a one-time thing, and then the the feedback from it was so awesome that we decided a couple months after the first one, like, okay, let's do it again.
And when people ask me, how did you do it? It was all based on the live event model.
For me, it was about credibility, but then it amplified. And then it became an annual event for me that I did. I spend multiple six figures every single month on Facebook ads and Instagram ads. I couldn't have done that to start. And honestly, without events, I wouldn't have the cash flow to do that today.
Our most recent event with you guys, we had over 300 show up, and then the total revenue, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's like between $600,000 and $700,000.
Like that first workshop, what it did was it gave me a chance to hash out what it is that I was teaching, to take what I knew and put it into some kind of a structure. And all of that gave me the clarity, which led to us landing on the brand Tribe, which in our first launch, it took off like crazy. And in the first 10 months of the company, we went from $0 to $6 million.
I love that it's changed your world, and your husband, Derek, since doing this, he quit his corporate job.
That year in 2008, because I took my business to $1 million, he quit his toxic job on Wall Street, and we've been working together now for 11 years.
You know how it is, entrepreneurship is like the loneliest job in the world, and for us to be able to create this venue where entrepreneurs can come together and be together and network and learn, and it's, for a lot of people, it's the first time they've talked to another entrepreneur, first time they've talked to someone who thinks like they do, who believes like they do, and so it becomes like a family, and people keep coming back year after year after year.
I had a renewal of 50% of people that started with me on year 1, stayed with me for year 2, and that's all because of a live event.
I have these big successful live events, and I didn't do any of the work. You guys know how to serve the needs. You've done it so many times. You know what people want, what works.
I said to myself, I want to detach myself from the result. And I just want to create a great experience. And my belief was that if I create a great experience, the sales will follow.
And then it was about really turning up my life's purpose. I'm very, very clear that I'm here to change the world. And I know that that can sound arrogant or grandiose or whatever, but I know it in every cell of my body. And this is what we teach at Bold Heart and at the Mindset Retreat, which is the event that we're now doing for our 11th or 12th year with you.
And there's two sides of it too. There's one, it's like the good you do directly, but the second half is like, it's been fun watching people who come to our events experience that and then go home and making it part of like what they do.
We love the people who come from these events because they're so grounded and ready, and they're in the same, culture's a big deal. Like the culture in your head of how you think comes through in live events. It doesn't necessarily come through in a 70-minute webinar.
And I think at the end of the day, like we invest in the experience because it creates memories, and we're in this for the long game. You know, we're not in this for the short game. We're in this for the long game. So we know that, like, you know, if people have a great experience, then they're much more likely going to share it with others, tell others, recommend the event to others, and they're much more likely to come back.
But like I just realized something, how big of an impact that you guys have had on me. I've just got Post-it notes in my office. It's not reminders of what things to do, it's reminders of ways to think. These are ones that remind me of ways to think. They come from you guys, right?
Yeah, because of this model we're talking about. I'm just taking you into your future a bit.
Yes.
I think we have around 350 people in our programs like this now, and they're signing up for 2-year programs. And it's changing people's lives. We take people to 10K a month consistently. Like, oh, another one, oh, another one.
We let people sign to come to Kenya with us. We had a whole group of funnel hackers come to Kenya with us to build schools and raise a bunch of money to build schools. And it was just so cool to see, especially people that got to come to Kenya and experience it, because like their lives will never be the same after seeing like what a few dollars can do to radically shift somebody's life forever.
My wife and I also run a charity where we build schools over in Kenya. You guys know because you are a big contributor to that, and we're tremendously grateful for it.
We have built over 28 schools in Africa, in the
28.
It's I have chills everywhere just thinking about it. We build a school, we bring water and food and education for the parents and medical services.
This one is classic Barry, which is only you can do the work, but you don't have to do it alone. Another one here talking about what people need and what helps for you to craft a great offer: accountability, community, and enhanced opportunity.
The ripple effect, it kept going beyond just the event. Like people got inspired and they're like, I want to share this to my audience and like just gives you such a neat platform to have such massive effect on change. It's hard. You can't get that same impact through email or through a Facebook Live. Like it's different, something special when you have everybody together like that.
Over these last 3 years, what I've discovered is I get tremendous joy from being with our tribe, where it's not like I look at them as like I'm the guru and they're the students and there's like this separation. It's like we've come together, and I love being with them because I love hearing their stories. And similarly, I love our team.
And I have to say, I could never have done this. I know you're not asking me this, but I could never have done this without you.
I was actually at Dean and Joe Polish's 100K group, and I was there, and Jeff was there, and he was like, "How'd your last event go?" And I'm like, doing the thing like, "Oh, it was great." He's like, "How'd sales go?" I'm like, I totally bombed this year. I'm like, I wasted a whole year. And I've known Jeff for a long time, and he's never tried to sell me anything. He stopped. He's like, "Russell, you have to hire Barry and Blue."
But you have helped me a lot alleviate some of the stresses that prevented me from getting into the game because I just didn't know.
I want to just highly recommend you to everybody watching, because there is no way that we would be able to do our events without the guidance, without the strategy and insight, and without the support and help that we've gained from you and Sage, Blue, and the whole team.
My partners were skeptical, but they went ahead and trusted me. When it was all over and they got to meet you, work with you, and see the result, one of my partners said to me, "I would rather use Barry and Blue at full price than use our old event planner for free."
And you guys came in for the last two events and the next one as well, and hopefully for forever. It was insane. So much so that like after it was all done, like we were all in the back crying. I can't remember exact number, $12 or $13 million we sold at the event, which was insane. That is even a possibility. It was pretty amazing.
You're so strategic. You're on the cutting edge of everything. Sage is on the cutting edge of everything in terms of every year I say, okay, tell me what I need to do. What have you learned in the marketplace? These are the 5 things I need to do to increase my this, to increase my reach, Okay, I'll do them.
Well, I'm nothing if not inspiring, let me tell you. If I can do it, anybody can do it here.
When we start, we never know where it's going to lead. I had no intention whatsoever of going to Brazil. I had no idea that was even in play. What happens is you got to get started somewhere.
Do it. It took me 2 years to do my first one. Thank God I did it.
For anyone thinking about it, man, it is worth it. Even if you only get 15 or 20 people for your first one, because that's where it starts. I'm not gonna lie, the first time 600 people, and then it was 1,200, then 13, then 5, whatever, and then 5,000 will be there this year. And so it's starting and going, and you'll bring your raving fans together, and they'll grow your message and your business from there.